Hi, this is Bernardo Cubria, and to learn more about my play and the Together LA festival, watch this video. I fell in love with the theater world because of my mom, so I blame my mom for everything that's happened in my life. My mother and father loved the theater. They would take us when we were kids. I grew up in Houston, Texas. I moved there when I was 2 years old from Mexico City, and we would go to the big Broadway musicals that would come into town. And my first real big memory of theater is being at Jesus Christ Superstar when I was about like 5 or 6. And I remember, so you'll be shocked, but I'm Mexican, so I grew up Catholic. And we were sitting, and at the big sort of final crucifixion scene, I stood up on my chair and started yelling in a crowded theater to take Jesus down from the cross. And it made such a scene that afterward, all of the performers asked me to go backstage. And I got to meet the performer who played Jesus, who I at 5 years old thought was actually Jesus and had resurrected himself from the cross. And it was so transformative and moving that I think that I will never forget that. And so that I think is where it all started. But my mom loved theater. My mom wanted to be a dancer growing up. She just grew up in a country and in a culture where, you know, in a generation where that was not an option for her. And so I think a lot of my artistry comes from her. Artistry. Yeah. I realized I wanted to be a writer pretty early on in my life, but I never allowed myself to think of it as my profession or what I was going to do. But from as early as 6 or 7, I have notebooks in my house still filled with poems. Especially in middle school and high school, I would always buy these leather-bound poetry books. And when my family was on vacation, I would I would sit on park benches and like write these rhyming poems with rhymes like love, above, dove, you know, not very good. But I always wanted to. In the 7th grade, I wrote a whole play based on the O.J. Simpson trial, which was like a sketch. So looking back on my life, I'm like, oh, I always wanted to be a playwright. But it wasn't until fast forward, I'm 26. I just got to New York City and I took a Labyrinth theater master class. And that theater company has a class where it's basically sort of all the aspects of theater in 8 weeks. And you do producing, you do acting. And I did it as an actor. But 2 playwrights taught us playwriting. One named Brett C. Leonard, who is one of my mentors and still a good friend, and then David Barkatz. And David Barkatz gave us a challenge. And he said, this weekend, turn off your cell phone, buy a couple bottles of booze, lock your doors, and on Friday start writing, and on Sunday night write end of play. And he said, don't edit, don't rethink anything that you're writing, just do it, and then you'll have a first draft. And that was the first play I ever wrote, which is a terrible play, not a very good play, but it got me on my path. And after that weekend, I realized I really, really, really like writing, and that I wanted it to be a part of my career. So my process in writing a play is still very much inspired by that David Barkatz challenge, which is my first drafts come out fast and furious, because I believe that the quicker you can get out sort of the initial intention, the initial sort of motivation, the better. And then the rewriting takes years and years and years and years and fixing it. But most of my plays, I write the first draft in about a week. I don't share that draft with anyone. It's not ready. It's not nowhere near close for anyone to see it. But then I just start, I do private readings in my house with my friends. Back in the days when you could invite friends over, I would buy them, cheap bagels, cheap orange juice, some cheap coffee, and just hear it out loud and get some feedback with sort of my close-knit group of people and confidants who I trust and whose opinions are always helpful. And then I just keep doing that over and over again until I'm willing to submit it to theaters. And then, I've been lucky that then those theaters will then do workshops, and you just keep building it and making it better and fine-tuning. I have to shout out the theater company I'm a part of here in Los Angeles called the Ammunition Theater Company, because they, through their writers group, just through their members, they have been such a big part of my development as a playwright, because they really, really allow me to always have a space to go with my pages and hear them out loud and get excellent feedback and then make it better. So when I first moved to Los Angeles, I knew of the Echo Theater Company just from going to their plays. and from seeing really great work by them, amazing productions. I remember Sheila Callahan's play Bed really, really made an impact on me. I think Sheila is one of the most talented playwrights in the country. I think that play is beautiful. I was so deeply moved by it. And so when I saw that, I wanted to work with that theater company because I want to work with people who I think do good work. So the play is called Abrazame Pendeja. And originally, the Echo asked me to write a short play just to send out to their members. This was very early on in COVID when nobody knew what was going to happen. And I think every theater was just trying to like post something on their website or something. And I started thinking about where I was emotionally with the idea of COVID. And I kept thinking about the past and about, you know, people in my life who I was estranged from, or people in my life who I hadn't spoken to in a long time that I missed. It was just this weird sort of side effect of COVID, thinking about the past. And so I just thought about, you know, what happens if two friends haven't spoken to each other for a really long time, and then because of this global pandemic, they reach out to each other to see how the other one is doing. And basically the desire to hug someone that you haven't hugged in a long time when there's the risk of, you know, global pandemic, basically. So this was one of the main reasons I was interested in writing this piece was the two of the company members at the Echo are Ana La Madrid and Adrian Gonzalez, and they're two dear friends of mine. They're two of my favorite actors in Los Angeles. And sort of the way that this was pitched to me was, can you write a short piece for them that will be emailed out, right? And anytime I get to work with both of those actors, I jump on it. Ana and Adrian have helped me develop other plays of mine. They're part of this contingency that I talked about that comes to my house and reads plays and gives me notes. And my favorite thing about this piece, to be honest, which was written in kind of a COVID haze in those first 2-3 weeks, is watching what they did with the piece. I really, really love them as performers. Ideally, what I want the audience to get out of it is that I hope as soon as the play ends, everyone calls that one person in their life that they haven't spoken to because of a misunderstanding or some kind of argument, and that they reach out and say, hey, I miss you, I love you, I'm sorry that we had that fight. That's my ideal. Whether or not theater always does that, who knows, but I still believe it does. What I'm most looking forward to in the Together LA virtual festival is just to see plays, to see all of LA theater come together, to see the incredible amount of talent and skill on display. I also think it's so cool that we're using Twitch as a platform because we have the opportunity to reach other people. And one of sort of the great ills of the American theater, in my opinion, is that we only perform for theater people or for sort of wealthy older people who are our subscriber base. And on Twitch, we hopefully will reach, you know, people who may have never even been to the theater or who don't really care that much about theater, but may be interested because they know Malcolm Barrett from the TV show Timeless and because he's also a gamer. Or, you know, I just think how exciting. And also, you know, let's be frank, with LA theater, you usually have 40 people in the audience on a good night. With this platform, we could have thousands upon thousands of people watching one of our plays. It's really exciting. It's quite a moment. And I hope it's not something we stop doing. You know, I hope when we all come back and do theater the way we all rather do it and prefer to do it, that we still remember that there's this way of getting our words out there and our stories out there. I think the reason the SoCal audience should watch this festival, why they must, one is it's going to be good. The talent in this group of people, you know, I'm embarrassed and in awe and humbled to be included among these group of people. These are going to be great plays. They're short plays. They're like little perfect chicken nuggets of plays. It's 10 minutes. You come in, you come out. And also, you know, in a deeper, more political, I guess, sense, to support artists. We're hurting right now. Artists really, really need your support right now. One of the many things one of the many tragedies, and I don't pretend it's the worst tragedy of this moment in history, is that a lot of theaters in this country are going to go out of business. They're furloughing their employees. They're firing their employees. They're shutting down their doors. You know, our industry is criminally underfunded by this government, and we need your help. We need your support. We are only trying to create stories so that people can come together and commune and grow and think about what it means to be human. And you watching this festival helps make sure that that can continue to happen, and that the most talented and most gifted people who do this get to keep doing this art form instead of everybody just running away to TV and film, which all of us are doing because we need money, but most of us rather be in the theater. You'd be surprised. We want to be in the theater, and we want to be creating these kinds of stories. So please go to echotheatercompany.com and follow the link so that you can watch the Together LA Festival starting October 1st.